What is up, everybody? BionicTide here, bringing you my first Diablo 4 build, and in my opinion, probably the most OP build you're going to find at this point in the game. Now, the game is still in beta, but I'm pretty sure this setup is only going to get stronger once they allow you to level up even higher. The build revolves around two main components, and it's split up pretty much the same way the game is. On one hand, you got big boss fights with high health bars like the Butcher, and on the other hand, you got rooms filled to the brim with bad little baddies. So the first part of the build we're going to talk about is for the bosses, and it uses a combination of skill aspects and a dirty little trick with simple mechanics to completely break them. What you're going to be using, which you can do pretty early on as it doesn't actually use any of the later game skills, is Decrepify to slow the boss down, and then take advantage of this add-on right here to completely stun lock the boss. And the reason that works is because your skeleton army can also take advantage of that. And we're going to be stacking this aspect as much as we possibly can on all of our gear to increase the number of skeletons that we actually have trying to stun the boss. There is a bunch of stuff you can do to increase the potency of this, like adding more crowd control and more damage to crowd controlled enemies, like you see on this here where it increases the damage to slowed enemies. There is some other parts to this that you're going to want to use to increase the likelihood of stun locking the enemy. And one of those is going to be your skeletons. And for them, you're going to want to get the cold mages, which actually have a chance at freezing the enemies in their tracks. And another, well, while we're here, we may as well talk about the other skeletons too. For your skeletal warriors, you're going to want to get the Reaper skeletons with this particular skill to create more corpses. And I'll talk about why that's important in a minute here. But basically, let's go over in detail why this works against the bosses. Your character has a maximum stun timer that he can put on one enemy before he can do it again. But your skeletons each have their own timer before they can stun an enemy again. So once you have the boss in your Decrepify and he's able to get stunned with any damage that's dealt to him, each one of these guys is acting like another player and rotating the stun that they're putting on the boss. You combine that with the fact that all of these skeleton mages also have the chance to freeze him, and he's pretty much a sitting duck while you hit him with as much damage as you possibly can. And the damage that you're going to be doing brings me to the next part of our build, which is getting rid of all of those bad little baddies.
You have to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
I don't understand!
It's going to be this setup here, where basically you mow down the first enemy that you see with Bone Spear, because it's one of your early on high damage moves, and it really just stays high damage until the end game. And once that enemy's dead, and maybe even if he's not, because they don't actually have to die to generate a corpse, but you're going to take that corpse and you're going to hit it with Corpse Explosion. And your Corpse Explosion is going to basically AoE the entire group and have a chance to create more corpses, which you can then use Corpse Explosion on again. And when you stack all these damage modifiers, like this one here that allows your skills to do up to 66% more damage as long as your, they call it resource, but as long as your essence is above half, the damage starts going through the roof. This is already one of your hardest hitting abilities, but there's no cooldown on it, and it doesn't actually use your resource, so it's always gaining the benefit of that 66% damage boost. Now you can start stacking that on with skills like this, that increase damage dealt to enemies who are slowed, skills like this, which increase damage to enemies who are slow or far, depending on which item you're using or where the enemy is. and skills like this, which actually increase the rank of your corpse explosion. And what I mean by that is you can go beyond, geez, pressing all the wrong buttons here, but you can actually go beyond what the cap on the ability is. So this ability caps at 5, which you can see here, and we've actually added 2 more ranks to the ability, and you can add even more to that. Eventually I would like to find gear that has corpse explosion on every single piece of the gear, and then add my additional skeletons aspect to all of those pieces of gear. That way we can have the biggest possible army, all stun locking our targets and creating more corpses for us, attacking with the most amount of damage we possibly can. And you can find accessories if you're really lucky that will increase the rank of all corpse skills, which literally does exactly what it says. It's not just going to bring your corpse explosion rank up, but you'll also see further skills like corpse tendrils that it'll bring the ranks of those up as well. I don't really use any of those abilities. Like I said, this ability setup is really nice because you can do it pretty early on in the game. Once you get to here, you don't really need anything beyond that, any of these end game abilities or anything like that. And you can just start mowing everything down right away. The only skills that you really need is Decompose. I use to rebuild my mana because it seems like it's the hardest damage per second out of all of the starting abilities, and you can just kind of hold it. There's also some really good mods you can get for that, which I'll show you in a moment here. Bone Spear, even with only 1 rank on it, seems like it far outranks the damage of any of the other abilities next to Corpse Explosion. So I like to use that just to get my first corpse, and then basically I just go into Corpse Explosion spamming. I do like to increase the mastery of my mages and my warrior skeletons. This one just gives you back more life basically every time you explode a corpse. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole build in a nutshell. You're going to use this one to gather mana, or essence as they call it. You're going to use this one to kill your first target, and then you're going to use this one to kill everything else after that. This one here, Decrepify, you're going to use to basically immobilize bosses. And the reason that works is not only are you slowing them there, but you have this right here, which gives enemies who are affected by Decrepify a chance to get a lucky hit on them, which stuns them for almost 2.5 seconds. And not only is it a 10% chance with this, but I have noticed that the lucky hit itself you can stack with other items and increase your chances of lucky hits altogether. So you will get that stun quite often, but not only will you get that stun, all of these guys will as well. So let's go into the second part of why Corpse Explosion is such a potent ability. I'll show you right on here real quick before we go in there and slay some stuff. But these 2 abilities after it, these little add-ons, allow you to increase the radius of it and then increase the damage again to all the enemies who are slowed, stunned, or vulnerable, which we will be doing a lot of with our Decrepify. So as long as you have the enemy in your Decrepify, you'll be stacking this 66% damage, all of the slow damage, like this 7% here. Whether the enemy is near or far, you'll probably have some type of damage that stacks on top of that. The corpse skill ranks will add significant amounts of damage to the ability the higher rank it is. And then we also have a bunch of skeletons just beating the shit out of everything. There are some stats that you do want to worry about as much as you can. Intelligence is a big one, or obviously if you can get something like this that has all stats, that will help as well. But there are also ones like these other 2 here that say basic skill damage, or the one we're really looking for, which I sadly don't have anymore, is core skill. because this is considered one of your core abilities. Oh wait, no, it's not. Corpse skill, whatever. I personally like to stack basic damage as much as I can, because you can get it on these gems, which you can apply to your weapons and armor. Or I believe it's different if you apply it to the armor. Yeah, it's basic attack or basic skill damage if it's on your weapons. But that will affect your decompose, which can actually get kind of up there in damage itself once you start stacking all of this damage. And then what's really interesting about this one is it gives you mana back when you hit enemies with it. So again, you won't really be going below half on your essence ever, and you'll still gain the benefit of this extra 66% damage, as well as if they're slowed and if they're close or far, you'll gain all of that damage as well. And if you're really lucky, a component that you want to find, I have found that it doesn't stack if you have multiple of these, unlike the skeleton one, which does stack. This one doesn't seem to, so try to find at least one of them, and it adds an extra 2 targets to your decompose. So anytime that you're holding your decompose on one guy, it'll have 2 tendrils that branch out and can even extend the range of your decompose to other guys. That being said, the routine is really simple. Run in, either hit them with bone spear, or if your decompose is strong enough, kill someone with that. Generate some extra corpses with it. Another little side thing here is if you get these, you can generate more corpses with decompose, and your decompose itself, or maybe it's not on there, maybe it's on the add-on. Yeah, it's on this one. It also has a chance to spawn more corpses, and then by leveling up the add-ons, your skeletons do more damage to anyone you are hitting with decompose. Doesn't last very long, the additional damage effect, maybe like 2 seconds after you stop, but it's always nice to have. Bone spear is still my go-to for that first kill because it's just so quick and it almost one-shots everything that you attack. But again, once they're decomposed, let's find out where this event here starts, and I'll start going to ham on everything and showing you what we're talking about here. You're just going to spam the ever-living hell out of your corpse explosion and kill everything with it. Probably help if I did something like this. I've never done this event, so... oh, well, that didn't help me at all either. Aha! There's an interior to this building. Alright, here we go. We've reached our destination.
Look out!
So once all these things start piling in, I'm going to show you exactly what we mean here. And I will show you a clip later on, like I said, where I did the same thing with the butcher with the decrepify and completely locked him down. But here I'll show you why the corpse explosion is so big. And on top of all of those other damage modifiers that we're putting into corpse explosion, you can also crit with it. Oh, see, I just hit an elite, or one of my skeletons did, and this kind of shows you that they share all of your add-ons. Because one of my skeletons hit an elite, this add-on here gave me a barrier as well as all of them. Also a really good add-on to have. But now we've got some corpses on the ground, so I'll show you here. We're not going to be using any of our resources to detonate them, and we can chain that explosion to absolutely decimate and stun lock. See, he's stunned now, I can't move. To absolutely wipe the floor. I wish they would send more monsters at us, because we really do get stronger the more monsters we fight.
We should get moving.
Oh, well. I guess that's that. But as you can see, once you have more monsters in the room, the more monsters that come at you, the quicker you can detonate these things and absolutely clear the hell out of anything, no pun intended, I guess, of anything you come across. So that's pretty much it for the build. Again, the core is just being able to one-shot something down with your bone spear to get this nice little corpse and then start detonating the heck out of them. If you're fighting a boss or something that might, fight back pretty hard, or if you just want to do a bunch of extra damage to the things that you are killing because you're like me and you like to overkill everything, you can throw a Decrepify up, and that'll start amplifying all of that slow damage on them as well. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy the build. I will show some gameplay of much more intense uses of both of these things, including that clip where I absolutely deleted the supposedly hardest boss in the game currently. But I can't wait. I don't know about you. I can't wait to see harder content for this game, and I will definitely bring you more as I stumble upon it. Thanks. Cue the music.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
If you enjoyed the video and you want me to stop being lazy and make more content, make sure you log in and smash that subscribe button. Give that like button a little tickle too while you're at it. My other videos should be popping up about now, and if you want to hang out live, you can always catch me on Twitch Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.